Hey everybody, it's GobletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today we're going to be playing the Arena Open Day 2 Draft number 2. This is the one for all of the marbles. To qualify for this in the first place, you had to get a 7-win run during the Arena Open Day 1 and at least 3 wins during the Arena Open Day 2 Draft number 1. The way this is going to work is no matter what, we're going to get 5,000 gems. If we win one round, we get 15,000 gems. And after that is where we start getting cash prizes, $500 at 2 wins, $1,000 at 3 wins, and $2,000 at 4 wins. Now, you get a combined total of 2 match losses during the Arena Open Day 2, and I did lose 1 round in the Arena Open Day 2 Draft number 1, which means that I'm 1 loss down. I only have 1 loss to go. If I lose my first round, I'm out of the event immediately in this Day 2 draft, but don't have to get too many wins to get a pretty significant amount of prizes here today. So I'm going to be doing my absolute best, but no matter what happens, we're getting 25 bucks worth of gems, which is nice. Again, a single win, we're getting 75 bucks worth of gems. And after that, $500, $1,000, $2,000. So pretty great prizes here no matter what. Proud to have made it this far regardless, but I'm going to be fighting as hard as I can to just stay in there, just attempt not to get that loss super early here. So I'll be doing my absolute best, but without further ado, let's just hop into the draft and see how it goes. Alright, here we are in the Arena Open Day 2 Draft number 2. Staff of Domination is a cool rare, but it's very slow. Gix's Command, much more what you want to do if you're just trying to win the game, which is definitely the objective of the Arena Open. So we're going to take this card, very flexible, incredibly powerful, easily the strongest card in the pack. Pack 1, pick 2, we can cut off black here, taking Emergency Weld. It's one of black's better commons. It's a very nice late game play, getting a 1/1 out and returning the best artifact or creature from grave to hand. Kind of interested in doing that because I'm going to be trying really hard to stick to black for this Gix's Command, as it is one of the strongest cards in the whole format. As far as really strong cards, this pack's relatively weak in general. Honestly, Emergency Weld is one of the strongest cards in the pack, period. We have Weld, Epic Confrontation, Unleashed Shell for removal, Pallbear's a decent late game play. That's about it. These 4 are my favorite cards in the pack by far. There's not a ton going on here. I'm just going to take the Emergency Weld and cut off black. Pack 1, pick 3. Goblin Charbelcher, pretty terrible, pretty unplayable rare there. We do have a Scrapwork Rager, very good value play in black in general. Enters the battlefield, draw a card, lose a life, and you can unearth it later to do it again. Prison Sentence is very nice removal, though. Does not synergize very well with Gix's Command, because if we Prison Sentence their biggest creature and then draw Gix's Command later, we don't get to make them sacrifice that, or we'll have 2-for-1 ourselves there. But it is still a really good card. It's probably the best pick in the pack, but Scrapwork Rager is pretty close, and it keeps us stuck to black, and it lets us cut black from whoever's on the left here. Try to make sure all the black cards just dry up out of the pack. If we wanted to stay massively open, we could take Evolving Wilds or Energy Refractor, but when you start with one of the strongest rares in the whole format, staying open isn't exactly what you want to do, so I'm just going to continue my path of just hard cutting black here. There's also an Excavation Explosion, another great removal spell there alongside that Prison Sentence. Pack 1, pick 4. Thraxodemon is a solid black card. We can continue our theme of just hard cutting black. It is worse than Juggernaut or Frontliner, but not by a massive amount. Those are probably the best cards in the pack. I've been a big fan of big fan of Juggernaut. Really make sure you're getting damage in throughout the game. Can finish somebody off with the Unearth effect as well. So Juggernaut's pretty great, or Thraxodemon. And Frontliner if we're really aggro. I'm just going to keep hard cutting black here and go for the Thraxodemon. Definitely the weaker card in the pack, but now we're 4 cards deep into black, so even if we get cut off of black, we have a solid start in that color. And it should be near impossible for somebody on our left to be in black unless they also pick 1, pack 1 like a Gix's Command. Because if we start getting cut off of black here, they're going to be just completely empty on playables. Very unlikely Corrupt is the right pick, because the only way that it's going to work out for us is if black is open enough that we can be in mono black. But I am already hard cutting black as much as possible, trying to get a ton of black cards in pack 2 minimum. And all I'm really passing here in black is Thraxidemon, which is solid but not incredible. The best card in this pack is Scrapwork Cohort, but I have passed two pretty great white cards in a row, Prison Sentence and a Yoshin Frontliner. So staying open here and just taking the best card in the pack is Scrapwork Cohort. I can't imagine this is right here, but how cool would it be to be able to just force mono black in the Arena Open Day 2 and have it just work out? Again, not super likely. I like Skullflare, it's solid filler. If you have any self-mill cards, that's where the card becomes quite powerful. That being said, pick 6 here. What's the strongest card we're seeing? Wing Commando is quite strong. Pallbearer is a solid late-game drop. Paratrooper's nice too. Don't feel like I've seen a lot of good blue until now. Maybe not a lot of it was opened up, but seeing a pick 6 Wing Commando is a relatively good sign for blue as a color. It is definitely stronger than the Skullflare, but again, the Skullflare would help us just cut into mono black here with this Corrupt. Almost definitely supposed to take Wing Commando. Yeah, I'll pass up on the black card this pack, take Wing Commando here. And looks like that was an okay choice because we see nothing in black in this pack. Dredging Claw does not make the cut. Tokasia's Onulet is a fine card in white. Pallbearer is a fine card in green. Onulet can be played for completely colorless, and then we can splash it in off of a Refractor or something. If we go like really heavy into black with this Corrupt, whereas Pallbearer double green, harder to do that. I do like Onulet a good bit. I'll take it here. There's just Pallbearers everywhere. Also a Curate though, which Curate can be really nice in the blue-black decks. Blue-black is all about drawing 2 cards in one turn. A lot of the payoff cards in the color pair are interested in doing that, and having instants as well to work with Wing Commando is nice. So I like Curate here. Again, green-black is certainly open with all these Pallbearers, but I haven't seen any self-mill to really make those work. It's kind of the same reason I wasn't that interested in the 3-mana 2/3 card. That gets bigger if you have a lot of creatures in grave. I guess there's like Wasteful Harvest, but these are just not good enough. Far prefer the creatures that mill 3 when they enter the board. Gix's Caress is a solid playable. Sticks to our core color, we'll take it. Rebuff would be fine here. We're sort of like in blue-black. There's been 5,000 Pallbearers. If we really want one of those, we can take one later. Gaia's Gift really late. Yeah, maybe we're supposed to be green-black. Nothing else in this pack's playable, so it's Gaia's Gift. By a long shot, this card is a very, very powerful combat trick. Used it to very good success in our last deck. Razor Maw is fine in the green-black deck. It mills 4 when it dies, which can be very valuable with certain other cards. Dredging Claw is pretty much unplayable. I don't think I'm going to end up black-red, but Sibling Rivalry is good in black-red, but Lawrence Escape's good in any white-based aggro deck, and we could end up that direction. More likely than red, because we actually have one semi-white card. Do not wheel the Gixian Skullflare. I don't think mono-black is going to work out here. We're going to be green-black or black-blue. But we are going to be heavy enough into black to get this Corrupt to work, most likely. Okay. Put up a pretty sweet red-black rare. Just don't think red was very open at all. I don't think that's a great place to go, and Disfigure's a very, very good, very cheap removal spell. Very good instant speed piece of interaction as well to trigger Prowess on Wing Commando. Pretty sure it's just Disfigure here. Yeah, I mean, Mishra isn't even actually all that crazy. It's just solid. Yeah. Easy Disfigure. Disciples of Gix can be very good if you have a lot of Unearth, but I don't think we have enough yet. We have one Scrapwork Rager, maybe an Onulet, and that's it. Yeah, Disciples of Gix doesn't look super sweet here. It's also a pretty narrow card, which means it should wheel often, and we'll be able to get it later in the draft. Airlift Chaplain for self-mill's fine. Blanchwood Prowler for self-mill's fine. Green-black self-mill looks like an archetype we could head into. If we want to stick to blue-black draw 2, Mishra's Bauble's a nice card in that archetype. Cards like Latinum Adept could stick to mono-black, take a self-mill card as well with the Gigamole, which will work well in the black-green deck as well. I actually might just go Gigamole here. I think I will. Gnawing Vermin gives us some self-mill in mono-black, which is very good. We see Excavation Explosion still in here. I guess it's only pick 3, but still a good red card there. Like me and Gnawing Vermin a lot. Emergency Weld and Carrion Locust also sweet. think Weld looks a little better in this deck than the Locust now that we're scooping up some self-mill. But I think we take Vermin first, gives us a good one-drop that trades up a little well. Very good at blocking aggressive strategies. Fills that graveyard for value. Well, I guess red is really open from this direction. Another Excavation Explosion. Still don't think Mishra was the pick over Disfigure, but maybe pushing into red is the pick with Excavation Explosion here. I don't know, Gruesome Realization's solid card draw that also gives you a main deckable Wrath effect against some aggressive strategies that run a bunch of 3/1s and 1/1s. So I do like Realization quite a bit. Moment of Defiance is also kind of a sweet combat trick. For that heavy into creatures, yet I'm going to take Realization here. Power Stone Fracture is very good removal. When you have expendable creatures to sacrifice, like a 1/1 rat, a 1/1 soldier, Power Stone off Gix's Crest, we can also sacrifice to use the Power Stone Fracture. Good, cheap, efficient removal, definitely the kind of thing you need. It's the best card in the whole pack, even accounting for every other color. So we'll scoop it up. Unleash shells everywhere. Carrion Locust is fine, Killzone Acrobat is fine, but we might take the Unleash shell. We're not going to wheel any of those explosions. Take a Locust here. It's a pretty solid sideboard piece, even if it isn't super wild main deck. Whew, pick 7, Overwhelming Remorse. Looks like we've done a decent job hard cutting black if people are going to pass this pick 7. Incredible removal spell, really good with our self-mill. That being said, this pack as a whole is really powerful. We have Overwhelming Remorse, Zephyr Sentinel, and Blue being the next strongest card. There's also Gaia's Gift and Aeronaut Cavalry being very good commons. But that's an easy Overwhelming Remorse for us. Well, nobody's black-red, so I guess Junkyard Genius and start taking some random red stuff that wheels. We're not going to play a Gixian Infiltrator if we're mono-black because we have nothing to sacrifice with. We have 1 Power Stone Fracture, 1 Thraxidemon. We'll take the incredibly late Junkyard Genius there and now start scooping up Unleash Shells. Clay Revenant's like fine. It's quite slow little sacrifice piece. If we get more Unearth and Black-Red, Disciples can be fine, but I suppose Scrapsmith can be fine as well. We get more Unearth. Scrapsmith, I guess, is more likely because Disciples is a 6-drop, which is a really hard sell. But I don't think I'll be playing either of them. Really late Emergency Weld. Come on in. Hard cutting black has kind of panned out here. We're getting whatever we want. It's going to be a Gigamole here. I'm literally 4 cards away from being mono black. I'd have an awkward Onulet here. It's obviously not very good if you can't unearth it, but would be worth it to be mono black. Probably actually doing it here. So Weld is a late game play. Again, this is a extremely competitive draft, so I'm assuming you know pretty much all the cards, so I'm not going to be going into a grand amount of detail. I know it's a little late in the draft to say that. With the amount of black that's getting passed to us, if anyone takes this Corrupt, they're making the objectively wrong choice and just being a butthole to me, so I'm going to take Power Stone Fracture and hope Corrupt wheels. Because theoretically, Corrupt should 100% wheel here. And this is a very competitive draft, so I could not imagine somebody's just going to hate pick a Corrupt. And nobody should be being that much of a goofball that they've drafted 1 or 2 Elsewhere Flasks and they want to try to Corrupt. So I'm going to take Power Stone Fracture, much less likely to wheel and still pretty important for the deck. I am legitimately going to cry about it a lot if that Corrupt doesn't wheel, though. Maybe I take Explosion here. I guess I'm still probably splashing red with Junkyard Genius. There's Explosion and Horn Stone Seeker. Good gravy. I mean, how good is our removal in black now? We have 2 Power Stone Fracture, a Disfigure. Gix's Command, Overwhelming Remorse, Corrupt. We have really, really good removal in black. We probably don't need the red removal, but if I do take a black card here, or a red card, it's Stone Seeker, a very good aggro card. I think I'm actually going to scoop that up. We're not going to miss a whole lot not having another Gix's Caress. It's solid, but... Gigamole's fine. I don't think No One Left Behind's super good in here. We do have the self-mill to make this potentially a 2-drop that brings a mana value 3 creature, but we don't have a lot of those. to play around with, and Forge Chanter's not great. Dig Site, I guess, is fine if we're mono black, but it does lower the power of Corrupt and all that. I'm just going to take Gigamole. Trench Stalker is a very good card if you can trigger Draw 2 reliably at all, and even if you just trigger it once per game, it's going to be a really good swing. A 4 life point swing or an 8 life point swing if it has lifelink is huge. So Scrapwork Rager is a really, really good card to work with that. We also have Gruesome Realization, Thraxodemon. Not a ton of ways to trigger it, but it's so good when you do. And I am going to take that here. Moment of Defiance is another way to trigger Trench Stalker, as well as being quite a solid combat trick. Creature count's pretty low here, biggest flaw in the deck, but roll with it. 14 creatures, we're cutting 4 when we cut red out. If we cut red out, yeah. More than anything, we need to find some random, just solid creatures to put in here. Another Thraxodemon looks really nice on the curve. Incredibly low on 2 mana plays. Reconstructed Thopter's generally really good and probably a bit better, but we're so low on 2 drops here. It's Thraxodemon for this deck at a pick 6 Excavation Explosion, good lord. We have enough removal in mono black, we don't need red removal even if I am playing red for the whole Junkyard Genius deck, but let's take a Thraxodemon. And Clay Rev I guess is okay, Chromatic Star is also okay. Good card to sacrifice to the Power Stone Fractures, and it could help us just splash in a Junkyard Genius even easier. Again, I do still feel really nice on removal. More than anything, I want more creatures. I guess I'm taking Clay Rev. Another Scrapwork Rager is beautiful. Love that a lot, triggering that Onulet giving, or that Trench Stalker giving us another great value play. And here's the moment of truth here, pick 9. If we don't wheel this Corrupt, I'm gonna quit. The video's gonna end right here. Alright, wield the Corrupt, come on into the deck. I'd love another Thraxodemon, but we're almost definitely mono black if we do, since we are the double Corrupt deck here. Still do have that option of putting a little red in here. The Clay Revs with triple Gigamole are actually probably fine. Little ways to sack them as well. Some random value stuff. Again, Springleaf Draw, maybe splash in some red, but I do not need a Firebomb, nor do I need a Millstone when I can just corrupt somebody for 10 late game. I take a Dig Site, but with double Corrupt, I don't think I'm running it. Just get 100% max value off of every Corrupt. Alright, well, I drafted probably a dumb way here because I got really excited about Corrupt. We could have been just like a really, really nasty, pretty quick red-black sack deck. That being said, I didn't see a lot of incredible red creatures. Like, we picked the really good ones. We saw Stoneseeker, we saw Junkyard Genius. I don't think I saw any Pendragon Strongbowls. What I really saw in red was more removal. That's what we didn't really need. So like even if I pushed into red here for the really quick like red-black sack deck, we'd still have that kind of fatal flaw of a lack of like cheap aggressive creatures to really push through all that damage. Because again, we just wouldn't have the Strongbowls. We'd have 2 really good ones. We'd have the Stoneseeker. We'd have the Junkyard Genius, but then the main thing that we were passing up in red was just a million copies of Excavation Explosion. I mean, we can still go into that red splash here. Like, this is pretty much exactly what the deck would look like if we were black-red sack. It would be like this, minus a Realization and a couple Corrupts for, like, Excavation Explosions and maybe one more solid red creature. I feel like just the mono-black Dream is the better place to be. With the cards we drafted, it's 100% the better place to be. But even in the draft pod, even with everything I passed up in red, could have been, could still be like the better deck overall. It's very close though, because I did, not really in pack 2, pack 3 that I can remember, but definitely in pack 1 I passed up on some like Juggernauts. When I still didn't know what colors I was for sure. But no, once we like recognized that black-red sack might be pretty open, the creatures were just gone. There were so many removal spells in red though. Pretty sure a double corrupt deck is supposed to run 17 lands, even if it's monocolor, and the mana is relatively easy. So we're just trying to hit 6 mana as soon as possible. Want to hit every land drop up till turn 6, ideally. 2 cuts here. Pretty sure we're just cutting 2 non-creature cards. Love the Clay Revenants with the Gigamoles and the Acrobats and all that Thraxidemon style nonsense. There's some realization actually might just be a sideboard card here. Like, we have 2 Scrapwork Ragers as a little bit of card draw for value. Thraxidemon can be card draw for value in the late game. Moment of Defiance draws a card when we play it for a little bit of value there. Emergency Welds, pick up a card from grave. Realization might just be a sideboard piece for this deck. Maybe Moment of Defiance here, just because our creature count's a little low. There's no way we cut either Corrupt, or Disfigure, or Overwhelming Remorse, or the Power Stone Fractures. And the Welds, it's like arguable we could cut them, because we don't have a million artifacts or creatures, and the ones that we have aren't that powerful to return from grave, but they do give us fuel for the Power Stone Fractures. And Gix's Crest kind of the same, gives us fuel for Power Stone Fractures. Emergency Welds with triple Gigamole feels nice, though. Kind of a funky deck here. Our win conditions aren't really our creatures, it's just corrupting somebody twice. If we mill corrupts with Gigamoles, that's going to be a pretty sad time, and it's definitely going to happen sometimes. Unfortunate that Emergency Weld isn't just grab anything from your grave. That'd be so beautiful in here if we could pick up corrupts with Emergency Weld. Maybe I cut 1 Gigamole and we just go real low on creatures. With 13, I mean, that's not horrible. We are a pretty controlling deck here. You can run a low creature count in a control deck. But then again, we'd be running a combat trick in a 12 creature deck if I just cut a Gigamole here. Maybe I cut a Gigamole and put in Realization instead of Moment of Defiance. Kinda weird, but kinda like that. We go Realization over Defiance, it's the better, like, kind of control card. And then we can cut a Gigamole now, drop the creature count a little bit. And honestly, this seems like a solid place to be to start it off. Mono black control for the Arena Open Day 2 Draft 2. Alright, I think this is where I'm at here. And this is going to be the deck. Alright, well, here it is. This is the deck that we're going to have to not drop a single round with. It's a mono black mid-rangey control-y pile. A lot of 2-for-1 value with cards like Scrapwork Rager and Ravenous Gigamole. A little bit of a low creature count here, but we do have some decent self-mill going on to help reanimate Scrapwork Ragers and Clay Revenants for a little bit of extra value there, or pick up stuff with Emergency Weld, and we have a lot of great removal to try to keep whatever our opponent's doing under control with Disfigure, double Power Stone Fracture, Gix's Command as a huge bomb/win condition, Overwhelming Remorse for a great removal spell, and the main win condition in this deck, as it is mono black, is 2 copies of Corrupt. So that's the game plan here. I don't really recommend drafting this way. I think our best deck would have been really close between this mono black deck and just a black-red sack deck. I still don't think that Mishra would have been that great in here, because it's just kind of a slow card. But if I scooped up every like aggressive red creature that I laid eyes on, we could have had a nice aggressive red-black curve with cards like the Stone Seeker and Junkyard Genius, and a bunch of Excavation Explosions that were just flying around the draft pod. So could have been a really good red-black sack deck. That's probably the correct thing to have done here, but there's something wrong with me when I see Corrupt. There's something. I don't know why I'm like this. Alright, here we go. Round 1, game 1 on the play. This is a very flooded hand, 5 lands in the opener, but we have the Clay Rev Thraxidemon combo to try to draw out of any flood if our opponent doesn't have early game interaction. So I'm not going to mulligan here. One of the big benefits of being monocolored is that we should not have to mulligan particularly often. Infiltrator from our opponent. Ooh, lord, an Infiltrator to go with the Clay Revenant. So if they do anything that sacks it, they're going to be hitting for a lot of damage really quickly. That is quite threatening. Opponent is on Black-Red Sacrifice, which can be a very quick strategy with Killzone Acrobat to sack the Clay Rev, to jump the Acrobat into the sky, and make the Infiltrator a 3-2. Could be really bad for us. Sack the Clay Rev here. It's not going to be big enough to block anything well anyway, because they're all going to be 3-2s except their Clay Rev, which they're going to sacrifice. Now we'll drop a Gigamole. Picked up a Carrion Locust here. 2-3. It's a 3-4, significantly better at blocking here. Does block a 3-2, but a 2-2 already blocks a 3-2. The Carrion exiles their Clay Rev as well. That's pretty good value. I think I'm going to take this Locust. A 3-4 body would be nice here, being able to block the Infiltrator, even if it turns into a 3-2, and survive. But they have a Clay Rev on board with a way to sacrifice it, and they are black-red, so just being able to exile something from their grave is probably going to be pretty powerful in this matchup. And we're getting to exile something and have a 2-1 flyer on board. Pretty good trade-off for not getting another +1/+1 counter on the Gigamole. There's the Junkyard Genius, one of the best cards in the archetype. That makes it such a devastating aggro deck. They can spend 3 mana, sack a creature or artifact, give their whole board a +1/+0 and menace till end of turn. Plus it comes with a Power Stone to sacrifice, which is insane, because now they just got to sacrifice that to Acrobat to still have Clay Rev on board to sack later, make Infiltrator bigger, and ruin my day. We are probably going to have to just Power Stone Fracture this Junkyard Genius. Shooting the Infiltrator also seems decent. Oh, it puts the hand, not the board. Never mind. Clay Rev is worse than I thought. We can't actually Power Stone Fracture here. Well, now I remember why I don't play this card very often. That is a significant amount of mana. 3 to hand and then 1 to put it back on board after that. Well, we're probably just dead then, because I played that way. I should have just went for a Gigamole. That is unfortunate. Well, this game's already looking pretty bad, so on the plus side, already in a real bad spot. It's not like punching the game out of a position where I was in a lead or anything. This was just 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, the premium signpost uncommon afterwards. Absolutely aggro curved out here. There's a Wellspring, excellent card to sacrifice because they get to draw a card when they do so. Get another free sack with the Acrobat here. Draw a card, hit us for 3 in the sky. They could sack to Genius instead and hit us for 1,000,000. Getting a Menace attack with everybody. It is +1/+0 to the rest of their board and Menace if they choose to sacrifice it to that. It does give haste as well. It's completely nuts. They play another card. This figure is going to be real nice in this matchup. Everything they played is 2 toughness or less. Just the Acrobat, draw their card, make the Infiltrator bigger. Alright, give us some breathing room here. Not an all-out attack yet. That'll give me more time to Fracture. Now I can Gigamole and Fracture in the same turn. And their board state is really wide for Junkyard Genius. That will be tremendously lethal if I let that thing fly around. So we are gonna Gigamole and then Fracture Genius away, sacking the Clay Revenant. Some rough mills for us. Lost our Overwhelming Remorse and another Emergency Weld here. Power Stone Fracture of their own, and they have the mana to immediately return the Clay Rev to their hand, so we can't Locust it away. That buffs the Infiltrator, triggers both of their prowess creatures. They have a combat trick to use on Acrobat here, then blocking here makes me just really die. I have one more card to play with in hand though, so unless I can soak up all this damage and win one fight here, I'm already dead anyway. Alright, we do get to soak up the damage and kill that. Play Rev back to hand, back to board. Draw for turn is Gix's Command. Each opponent sacrifices a creature they control with the highest power and destroy each creature with power 2 or less. That would destroy our own Gigamole, but that would kill the whole board, so I'm fairly certain that's the play. They can get the Clay Rev back though, because we can't afford carrying Locust and Gix's Command. I'm one off from that. Is there any way I'm supposed to do +2/+2 lifelink and destroy the small creatures, let them keep Infiltrator? No, right? Because then I just hit for 4, gain 4, I'm at 11. They still have a 5/4 that can get bigger later. Yeah, no, we hit for 2. Kill the whole board. And they still have a Clay Rev and whatever they draw off the top. Very good draw there, get a board wipe. So, what are our best draws now? Ooh, draw 2 for our opponent off the Might Stone and Weak Stone, and that adds the mana they need to return Clay Rev to hand so it doesn't get exiled from Locust. Pretty excellent draw for our opponent after the board wipe. Yeah, our best draws are by far Corrupts. Those bring us far back into the game. Try to draw for them, just another swamp for us. Kind of just have to hope for no haste from our opponent. There's no unearth or graveyard mechanics in their grave, so play a tapped Clay Rev. I'm not really going to play a 2/1 flyer just to trade into a Clay Rev that can come back from grave. So we take 1 on board. Down to 5. Have the Clay Rev for the blocker, and now we Gix's Crest to see what's going on in their hand. Land, alright. We are literally both playing off the top. Let's find out who's luckier. Probably have to just pop this Carrion Locust here to speed things up, so we actually have a clock on board. So we're hitting them for 2 a turn. They're bouncing off our Clay Rev every turn. If they draw any sack outlets, they do get to pop off with Clay Rev because we have played the Locust. Pretty good draw. Draw a card, gain some life here. Significantly lowers our clock, and they just basically pretend that they drew whatever was next instead of the Moment of Defiance. Still in that position where drawing 1 Corrupt this game is gonna probably win it. Probably not worth playing around 4 haste power. We are Almost 25 cards deep, just looking for that first corrupt so badly. And we've not milled one or anything. Ashnod's Harvester, that's not fun for us. Now we die to removal. I don't think we can afford an attack. And this thing's gonna unearth, which is really deadly at 4 life. If I don't go for a block here, I'm dead to an excavation explosion. But if I let Locust die, I don't have a way to really win after Corrupt. I mean, I could just go Corrupt into Corrupt if I'm tremendously lucky. But I need to be able to get some amount of damage in here to finish off with Corrupt. I'm only going to do 11. I will gain 11, which does put me significantly at the life gain lead, taking 4 damage on board every turn. Not every turn, because Harvester's in grave. The only way trading off Locust is correct is if I somehow just have like multiple Corrupts on top. But I'm still just going to die. Don't have a win con. Is that whirling trick? That whirling trick just like straight kills me. Even if I double block, I'm pretty sure. I guess it puts me to 1 if I do the double block, and they have the whirling trick. Moment of Defiance, okay. To keep the Harvester, that is not good for me. Alright, final chance, draw one of our 2 Corrupts. Okay. Still not dead yet. I am very dead to removal. So we've seen the majority of our opponent's deck. We know what instants to play around. Alright, good for you. Double Moment of Defiance. That's so brutal. We go 26 cards deep with no Corrupts. Still feel like 1 Corrupt wins that game, because we get to attack with the Flyer more aggressively. We only have to hit them like twice with it if we Corrupt them. Oh, that's so sad. Gix's command was absolutely massive there. That just as a board wipe, basically just Wrath of God off the top was the only reason we had a chance there. If we could have pivoted into, you know, Gix's command top deck Corrupt, we would have gotten there. I do think Realization looks solid here. They've got that 3-1. They've got a 2-1 Infiltrator. They've got a 3-1 Harvester at least. Obviously, losing life is kind of painful off of it, but the -1/-1 ability could come really handy at certain points. Moment of Defiance might be big here, gain us some life, another Gigamole for more blockers. Anything really bad here? I did not love Clay Revenant. Carrion Locust does look sweet here if we can have it not revealed, unlike how it was revealed there to the Gigamole. Crest doesn't seem very good. They kind of just dump their hand real quick, or like Mega Bombs to just hold on to. Maybe just Gix's Caress for Moment of Defiance. And actually just not even put in another Gigamole or anything. Weld doesn't seem incredible. Maybe another Gigamole over a Weld. This seems fine. So the only instant they played all game was Moment of Defiance. So we need to remember to play around Moment of Defiance, I suppose. There weren't any sorceries that are like super good to play around. Don't think they played a carrion of their own or anything. Be on the play here. Multiple revs to get blocking, disfigure, and power stone fracture. Much better hand this time around. Just to start it off. Turn 1 Swift Spear. Would rather not get curved out. 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop again. Not gonna immediately disfigure here. Odds are they're going to play a better 2 toughness creature. Overwhelming Remorse is pretty significant here. Very good card. Not really going to outrace with 2 clay revs. Now that I have 2 of them, I might just force them to not attack unless they have a prowess trigger. They have a Moment of Defiance here that they try to cast. That's going to go really badly for them. So if they attack here, I'm going to slam that block. The only instant we saw all game 1 was Moment of Defiance. So this is an easy block if they send it in. They're not going to send it in. They're going to play a Penrigan Strongbow. Probably fracture that and hold up Disfigure still. There's one of the Corrupts. That's very nice. Probably should have just blocked the turn 2 attack on the Swift Spear as well. Oh, this is going to go really badly for them, unless they have a 1 mana instant we didn't know about. Oh, they're just trying to trick us into thinking they have something. This is a snap disfigure. Get this out of my life. Rager here. Double block. The only way Swift Spear gets an attack in is if they have an instance. I guess if they play something at sorcery speed, then having a Rager and a 1/2 to block with would be enough to block it. But like if they have an instance, then... Oh my god, we have Gix's Command Corrupt. Okay, we can take as much damage as we need to. These both give us lifelink. What I was going to say is, if they have an instant trick here, we know exactly what it is in its Moment of Defiance, which means even if we double block, we lose that fight really handedly, so I'm kind of okay sending Revenant in. But then I was like, well, if they play a sorcery that triggers it, I could double block and get the kill. But I don't think I need to if I draw into Gix's command here. There's the land for the command. They picked up the Strongbow, not the Junkyard Genius. Interesting. Probably just ruin the day here. Still have a Corrupt in hand if this doesn't go well for us. Oh, they can save the Strongbow with the Power Stone mana. Well, this is still a solid Gix's command. We're going to gain a ton of life and have a 4/4 on board. But maybe I should have just held off. I guess Gix's command was never going to kill the Strongbow unless I decided to just wrath the board instead of getting counters and lifelink. It was definitely going to be counters and lifelink, though. I probably should have just gone for an Overwhelming Remorse or something. Unleash Shell. They have to kill our Rager, but we've got the Unearth for that later. Alright, Corrupt can kill anything and gain us some life. For now, Overwhelming Remorse can kill Strongbow for only 2. If we really need to kill something else, we'll kill it with Corrupt, and if we don't, we'll save Corrupt to do 1,000,000 damage to their face and end the game in the future. I guess I can't Remorse anymore, because I got rid of a creature from my grave. I can still Remorse in time, though. I guess that was a little loose. Ooh, Thraxodemon? Gigamole. If I mill at least one creature, I can Gigamole and Remorse here, and it's a decent sized blocker. I did hit a creature. 2/3 blocker alone is already big enough to fight with Thraxodemon. If I pick up this creature, though, I can't cast Remorse anymore, because I can't cast it right now. It won't let me. I don't think I can do it in response. I can say I'm going to pick up this creature. I don't think there's an opportunity to cast a spell before the creature goes in hand, but let's see. Yeah, there's not. I guess for science, I'll lose the overwhelming remorse. Oh my god, I'm just playing super sloppy. If I lose this game, it's deserved. I guess my brain just got into science mode and it was like, let's see, can I respond with overwhelming remorse? I'm like 99% sure I can't. Nope, I can't, and I might have thrown the game for it. For science alone. Oh, we're pretty much locked into casting Corrupt next turn now, because we're probably taking a million here. Alright, 2 damage is not a million. Killzone Acrobat is very threatening, though. I guess Moment of Defiance is some solid life gain, too. Maybe we're still sticking to Corrupt for now. Holding on to it. Acrobat's gonna fly in. Possible to block Strongbow well with Moment of Defiance? Yeah, we have 4 power. They can't get more than 4 toughness. So we're gonna Remorse the Acrobat. Remorse the Acrobat and Moment of Defiance on blocks. Pass here. Could be in such a good position right now, but I'm just doing all kinds of dumb science things that were not smart. They do not crack the Power Stone to the Thraxidemon there. We didn't see any of the active treasons from our opponent last game, but if they have one here, it is going to be tremendously bad for us. I think we might just be dead to active treason. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, exact lethal. If I kill Strongbow, they hit for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Power Stone Fracture. So that's really bad, but we're not dead. Probably have to get rid of the thing that can potentially have flying and take 4 damage this turn. A Dwarven Forge Chanter. Okay, that's fine. Pretty much 100% have to play Corrupt now. 8 lands. I can Corrupt them to 4, and then I'm at 13, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't Corrupt and Locust this turn, though, which means I can't get that guaranteed damage in the sky plus Moment of Defiance to kill them. Corrupt is so close to killing them, but I think I have to play it defensively. If I played better earlier, got my Overwhelming Remorse done sooner, I probably could do the Corrupt Kill Them plan. Probably have to just Corrupt Strongbow here. Got more cards to play around than them, and now we've got a lot of life. We just need them to not top deck like a champion. Only 8 swamps left in these 19, so the majority are non-land draws. There is another Corrupt in there. There's a Trench Stalker that's huge. We've got some very, very solid draws we could hit. Just holding back the Chanter for Clay Rev. Fair enough. If I hold up Moment of Defiance, they're going to know because both of these are revealed, so I think I just play the Locust and the Clay Rev. And we're just going to start Locusting them in the sky. Corrupt is already lethal if we draw it, so I don't need to play this swamp here. I do have a draw 2 effect in my deck, though. It costs 3 mana. If I spend 3 mana, draw 2, I'll have 6 mana left. 7 if I play the land. What if I draw a 5-drop and a 4-drop? Yeah, I think I actually keep playing lands. In case I top deck the draw 2 into like 2 more spells I need to play and have a land for turn. I guess that's really unlikely. And this only plays poorly if they have something that makes me discard exactly 1 card. So Clay Revs are holding down the fort. Pretty significantly here. So they can just keep coming back, so they can't really get in good attacks with their 2/2s and 2/1s and all that. Alright, Power Stone Fracture the Locust. So now they're just holding down the fort, but if we're both in top deck mode here, it's probably beneficial to me, since I do have a card in my deck that just wins immediately. And Thraxidemon is going to speed up our top deck mode significantly. Maybe I should be playing Moment aggressively, just attack everybody and then Moment where they block with Thraxidemon. This is their own Moment. But they're not even getting like a card worth of value out of it because I'm getting both my Clay Revs back. Gruesome Realization. It's a draw 2, dig for that corrupt. Sick. We did both gain a bunch of life, so they're actually out of range of corrupt again. This might be that turn I need the 1,000,000 mana for the Gruesome Realization here. Where I draw something and still need to play land for turn, because I've got a 3-mana ability on Clay Rev, 3 mana on Thraxidemon. Like, in order to be able to hold all these abilities up, I might actually need to play another land drop this turn. Well, I guess I had 2 lands in hand anyway. Emergency Weld, that's pretty big, right? Pick up the Carrion Locust. Probably where we're at. And Penregan's their best creature in grave. Last turn. Two, three, four, five, six, 7. Dead in 2 swings pretty regardless. So I'm gonna actually hold Thraxidemon back to draw a card. Many more of the swamps. I guess if they have that one red mythic that spits out 3 4/4s, we're dead. Gix's Caress my double swamp. Just giving me a nice little hug at the end of the game. Alright, I played that game horribly. But luckily we still got the win there. I need to tighten that up a lot and lock things in for game 3 here, because game 1 I'm pretty sure we would have lost even if I played perfectly. But game 2 we got a lot closer to losing than we should have. So game 3 is hopefully where we can make a bunch of tight plays and get rewarded for it. We've gotten a lot of misplays out of the way in 2 games where it wouldn't have mattered. Obviously game 1 I misplayed but would have lost anyway. Game 2 I misplayed but won anyway because I just drew so well. Game 3, hopefully this is the game where we can just play really well and get a win for it. I think I'm running it back. I like the changes I made to the deck. I'm pretty happy with it here. Let's get in there. Here we are in the final game of round 1. Unfortunately, because we won last game, our opponent gets to be on the play, and unfortunately we're going to have to mulligan here. We can't really keep a 1-lander against our opponent here. This is pretty great. We actually get rid of Clay Rev because it's just so slow, being tapped all the time. It's been solid late game, but like early game, it misses so many blocks. Ooh, that's a great draw. Now we have a turn 1 play. So, oh no, we milled the Gix's command. That's rough. That is not a Clay Revenant that we milled right there. Certainly not a Clay Revenant. Harvester can exile our Gix's command, but it's not like there's anything in our deck that can get it back anyway. So, I mean, if they want to send Harvester in, a trade for Vermin is fine. Play Thraxodemon here. I do have a lot of 2 toughness creatures, so it's not like astronomically likely I can get a 2-for-1 off of Vermin, so I am just going to pop it off for this Harvester. They obviously know that the Vermin's on board, so they're never going to set themselves up to lose 2 creatures to Vermin if they can afford to. This would be a really bad Moment of Defiance. It's only +1 toughness, so it'd still die. So that pretty much guarantees they have Moment of Defiance in their hand if they thought that out with 3 mana up. Wow, Gix's Crest is brutal. And there goes the Gigamole, and they know about our Disfigure now, and we're out of action. Hopefully this Multi-6 doesn't punish us too hard, but if we keep hitting lands, we are going to lose pretty handedly. No more action this game. They have a white splash off this Ichor Wellspring for the turn. Maybe they added a white splash. I mean, we saw the majority of their deck round 1 and round 2. We did not see any white sources. They're just manipulating our graveyard again. Put in a bunch of graveyard hate. Or they're just trying to figure out what they want to do with Harvester here. We've got 11 minutes, we've got 12. Yeah, we're fine on timer. I don't think either of us is gonna time out here. They're out of ropes at least, so they don't have much time to think. Alright, get rid of the Gigamole, sure. Take 3. Well, we are drawn really badly here. We desperately need just anything to play. We're just hitting lands, but luckily our opponent isn't putting us under that much pressure. Still pretty sad about milling Gix's command, obviously, but all of the pro players always recommend, like, you're gonna get hit by self-mill sometimes and it's gonna feel bad, but you always have to think about it where it's equally likely that that bomb card you milled was just on the bottom of your library anyway. You have to treat it as essentially just shuffled your library. Like, you're never sad when you Terramorphic Expanse, but I guarantee you there are many times you have Terramorphic Expansed with your best bomb on top of your library, and you just didn't know it. Wow, that's horrible. We might just be out of here. I'm gonna have to sack a Gigamole to a Power Stone Fracture. We've milled one of our Corrupts. Guess I could Disfigure, save the Fracture for something else. They have a Moment of whatever. That's going to be a horrible play though, and they do likely have one based on how long they thought with the Harvester down. Yeah, I think I need to play around the Moment of Lifelink and just blow up the Automaton here. Yikes, well that's the white splash and I doubt that that was a sideboard. I guess we're just dead. We can't cast our Disfigure during their turn now. Yeah. There's the Junkyard Genius to Disfigure, but they know we can't do anything about it yet. Now we can? We probably still lose, but I guess I don't lose immediately anymore. They just have a lot more cards than me. We had to mulligan down, and they've had some card draw, stuff like Ichor Wellspring, plus drawn a really good land to non-land ratio there. Pretty late into the game, they still only have 5 mana. Still only have 5 lands. Yikes, the Emergency Weld as well, with the Mightstone Weakstone to immediately recast Blitz Automaton. Rough. Looks like that's going to be it for us here. That comes in tapped anyway, but I guess this is only chump blocking regardless, so we might as well pick it up. Dead to a removal spell now. And here's the moment they've had all game that we knew about. Rough way to end the Arena Open Day 2. Made a lot of misplays today. Luckily, I don't think any of the misplays cost us any of those games. Obviously, the misplays did not cost us game 2, and that's where the majority of the misplays were. There were a couple misplays game 1. I think the best we could have done game 1, though, was get another turn or 2 out of them. So maybe if like the exact top card of our library was a corrupt or something, we could have won game 1. And that would have changed our record from 1-2 to 2-0 in game 1. Because if we won game 1 and then won game 2 as well, obviously we'd have won that round beyond the next game. I'd have to look back on game 1. Game 3 was unwinnable. That was just pretty poor luck. Game 1 felt like pretty poor luck near the end, but when you think about it, our overall luck game 1 was quite nice because we wouldn't have been in that game at all if we didn't top deck our Gix's command. So you can't complain too much there, but we did really flood out at the end to lose game 1. But it certainly happens. Lucked out a lot in game 2. Some sloppy gameplay here. I'm not incredibly unhappy with the result here, because just making it this far in the first place is pretty great. And again, I don't think... Again, I'll have to look back on it, but I don't think any of our misplays really cost us this round. Maybe there were more misplays in game 1 than I thought that could have stacked up into a loss there, but I really don't feel like we could have won game 1. If we could have won game 1, then obviously I'm pretty sad about that. I'm mainly just disappointed in the amount of misplays I made. There was a lot of that. My brain is just mush for some reason right now. Game 2 was tremendously sloppy, so it's really weird to win the game where we played the absolute worst, but kind of just goes to show how swingy this format can be and how swingy this deck is in general. Again, single corrupt game 1, we just win that one. Game 2, we did get to do our corrupt things, so we did win that one, and then game 3 was just some poor luck there. We milled some pretty significant cards there, losing out on the Gix's command and a corrupt, and a lot of lands in the early game when we really needed action. Our opponent had an incredibly well-timed Gix's Caress to just rip everything out of our hand, and we had to mulligan, so we were down a card in the first place when our opponent was playing some card draw. So, sad way to end it. Overall, though, I think the deck played pretty well. We just made some misplays, got a bit unlucky. I think this is one of the best decks we could have drafted in our position at the draft pod, and going for the double corrupt mono black weirdo dream, I think actually probably worth it here. Probably at least as powerful as our just red black aggro pile would have been. So yeah, not that disappointed in the drafting, relatively disappointed in the gameplay, but I don't think I could have changed much here. This feels like it would have been a loss round 1 regardless, based on how game 1 and game 3 went there. But who knows? Who knows? Either way, our overall record for the Arena Open was 7-1 day 1, into 3-1 for day 2 draft 1, and 0-1 day 2 draft 2. So 3-2 for our drafts in the Arena Open Day 2 against pretty significant, pretty fierce competition. Only the people that made it into the Arena Open Day 2 in the first place, and then this round, only people that made it to Day 2 Draft 2, so still a respectable record overall. I'll absolutely take it, but that is going to end today's video. We get a bunch of gems and kind of run away with our tail between our legs here, but it happens. Would have been really cool to cash out twice this year on Arena Opens, but just making it pretty close multiple times is awesome as well. We did cash out. I'm not going to spoil it. If you haven't seen any of the Arena Open Day 2 drafts this year, you can definitely check out those videos. We did a Day 2 draft for every single set that came out this year. So we Day 2'd for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, Streets of New Capenna, Alchemy Horizons Baldur's Gate, and Dominaria United. The only Arena Open and Limited that I did not Day 2 was when they did a flashback one to original Dominaria, which was also just going to be sealed to Day 2. So I just gave it like 3 attempts and gave up on that one. But plenty of other Day 2 Arena Opens to check out if you haven't seen those before. And one of those, I did win $1,000 cash prizes, which was really cool. And in 1 or 2 of the others, I got tremendously close, which was also very cool. So still feels like a great record on the year for Arena Open events, and I'll absolutely take it. But that's going to end today's video. Again, if you're interested in seeing more Arena Open style videos, plenty other ones on the channel. There's one for every standard set that came out this year for draft, as that is the format I play a lot, draft and sealed. So check those out if you haven't seen them yet. And if you just want to see more drafts in general, more limited gameplay, more Magic Arena nonsense, stick around. There will be plenty more in the near future. You can always like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more like it in your recommended feed. And as always, thanks again very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.